What's up, everybody? Mr. Awesome here, bringing you Moz Corner episode 4. And today I'm going to answer last week's question, which was, what is your most anticipated game of 2012? And so let's just jump right into this. For me, my most anticipated game is Darksiders 2. I really enjoyed the first game, and I'm just going to go with the assumption that none of you guys have played the game, but there were a lot of things in a brand new IP that were just executed very well. One of those things was the combat. It was very similar to God of War. There was a lot of dungeon clearing, which was reminiscent to the Zelda series, and that's kind of what if you ask anybody what Darksiders is, they always tell you it's God of War meets Zelda, which isn't a bad thing at all, but there was a little bit more to it than just that. There's an RPG element when you're leveling up, you unlock new weapons and abilities. There's a whole, not a skill tree, but there's a whole bunch of different things that you can do. Each weapon has slots that you can equip specific abilities to. So even though you were going through the world unlocking new abilities, you didn't have all of them available to you at like one time. You really had to pick and choose based upon the weapon and area. Another thing that they did well was the story. Basically, to sum up the story, there's a giant battle on Earth between the three kingdoms of heaven, hell, and man. When that happens, the four horsemen gets called in. In the story, one of the horsemen, he gets called in prematurely, so the whole thing is pinned on his shoulders. It's all his fault as to why Armageddon happened way before it was supposed to happen. And he dies, gets stripped of his abilities, and it's a whole redemption course from there. But what they did well is a lot of the characters, for that matter, are demons of some sort. So they look really cool. They sound great. The game itself is just fun to play. It's a little challenging, and it had pretty good length. I think it was 20 plus hours for me, if I remember correctly. It's been a while. My camera is kind of shifting all over the place, so I'm going to try and stay on it. So sorry about that. What else was I saying? Oh yes, so Darksiders 2 is, for me, something different of a sequel. Traditionally, when you deal with a sequel, you have your main character and you have the continuation of a story. Not exactly, where the last game picked up, but somewhere after the first game. And there have been sequels that have been prequels. I've seen that before. But what Darksiders 2 is doing is, A, they're throwing in a new protagonist, so War is not a character you're going to be playing at all. And B, it's a parallel timeline. So you're playing it from the perspective of another horseman, Death, during the events of War in his story in the first one. So even though it's a sequel, it's not like the continuation. And that's a little important because I remember playing and finishing Darksiders 1, and one of the ending scenes had the three other horsemen kind of coming down from the skies. And War was like, my brothers are here, and that was pretty much that. So I really wanted to see where the story goes. I was sad to see that it ended there because you always want to have. It was a cliffhanger, it really was, but you knew it was coming, and you were okay with it because there was just so much more hinted that the game never was going to have in the first place. Another thing that they've done is they made it more of an open world game. The first game was open world, but it was very linear, meaning there wasn't side quests. The only thing that you could really do were to backtrack other areas at any time to either farm more souls that you could use to upgrade your stuff, or find artifacts, those types of things. But there was never a real purpose to do anything else. So they're adding, from what they've said, the first game was pretty large. It wasn't enormous, but it was definitely large. And they said that the second game is almost 3 times that size. And they're throwing in side quests and stuff like that. So overall, the only similarities between the two is I guess the story and art style and the way the game plays. In fact, they've even changed that. This game is more likely to be described as Prince of Persia meets Zelda than God of War meets Zelda, which really just hints at more platforming, more swinging on ropes or poles, and, wall climbs and stuff like that. But still, hey, it all makes for a good time. And so that's my pick of 2012, the game that I'm looking forward to the most. I know for sure I'm buying it, and like I said, Ghost Recon, Max Payne, Far Cry, Halo, those are other big games that I may or may not buy. But even if there are, even Borderlands, like I know I'm buying that game, definitely not looking forward to it as much as what I want to see from Darksiders. All right, so that's my pick. That's my answer. So let me go ahead and get right into the top comments from last week's video. Now, these are comments that was left to answer this question from that video. So thank you very much for doing that, and hope to see some more fun comments for this next question, which is sequels. What do you guys think of sequels? Do you prefer them? Do you like them? Do you hate them? Do you wish they were different? Do you think they're fine just the way they what the hell? Do you think they're fine just the way that they are? Do you I don't know, do you have a preference? I know I hinted, or I know I said in this game, Darksiders 2, it's a sequel, but it's not a traditional sequel, meaning that it's got a new character, and it has the story doesn't pick up right where the other one left off. And I know we're in a world full of sequels. I mean, I mentioned a bunch of games coming out this year. Ghost Recon not really being a sequel, but Far Cry, Halo, Borderlands, Max Payne, Darksiders. Man, there's just so many sequels out nowadays. I just want to, what are your opinions on that, if you have any? And so if you do have opinions on it, go ahead and leave that below in the comment section, and we'll get into it next week's video. So like always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you around. Peace.